Hi, I'm Stefan, the BMW DIY guy, and I want to show you how you can easily improve the sound quality and overall road noise in your car. All right, y'all, so let's go ahead and talk about the reasons why you want to do this here really quickly. Now, beforehand, this is my stage 2 of my good, better, which is stage 2, and best setup for sound quality improvements and road noise reduction in your car. And you really can apply these instructions to just about any car as long as you follow along. Now, I'm going to be using my M2C. If you haven't seen my stage 1 video, I highly recommend it, and it will be linked in the video description below, because you could do both the stage 1 and stage 2 at the same time, and they do slightly separate things, so please make sure to check that out. Now, if you don't know it, inside your door is a layer of insulation or vapor barrier, and it's usually very, very thin foam. If you've ever been into your door, or someone's had to do work, they may have cut it, or if you have a little bit older car, it may be torn. And so I really view this project as win-win all the way across. That vapor barrier does nothing to reduce road noise or improve the sound quality of the audio in your car. Now, Soundskins Pro from Soundskins Global is amazing. It is an incredible material that's built out of rubber and foam and metal that's going to lay in, and we're going to actually replace our vapor barriers directly. And in this car, I'm going to do it in both doors, and you'd want to do it in, all your doors throughout your car. It can make a tremendous difference, and not only reducing road noise and lowering that overall kind of sound floor of background noise in your car, which is also going to make your sound system sound a lot better. So I really highly recommend it. I'll walk you through the whole process. Let's go ahead and jump into the car and get started. All right, so here we are looking at the driver's side door card, and what I'm going to do is, obviously some of this work is going to be a duplication, so I'm not going to show the passenger side because it's going to be almost exactly the same. But when we talk about your door card, this is what we're talking about, this part on the inside that has your handle grip and all your switches. And you really want to be careful when you do this, because what you don't want to do is bang up any of this, because you're going to see it and it's going to look bad. So you always want to make sure to get a good plastic trim toolkit. It's very handy. Don't pry on any of these things with metal tools as you'll tear it up. Now, every car is going to be different, so you could easily use this DIY for almost any car, but obviously taking the door card off this particular car is going to be specific to this car. But you could use these instructions for just about any car in general that you're looking to do. Okay? And if you are going to upgrade your speakers or amp, this is just a no-brainer to me. As you take all this apart to replace your speakers, then I would be doing this at the same time. So I would be getting the speaker kit at the same time as I get other things. So now for this M2, we need to get the door pull off first. I'm going to use a plastic trim tool, and there's a little notch right here at the bottom. I'm going to get up and underneath it. And you can hear as it starts to pull away, because there's a whole series of clips that hold this in place. So I'm just going to slowly work at this and pop it off. So as you can see, there's a hook on the bottom, there's a hook on the top, and these little metal clips that help hold it into place. Now we can get to the screws that actually go through and punch into the door frame itself. So it's a T20 Torx. So go ahead and take both of these bolts out. There's a bolt here, and there's a bolt right here in the middle. And then we're going to walk our way around and start popping all of the clips that help hold this in place. Now you've got 3 more screws you need to take out. There are 2 here in the bottom that are a little bit hard to show. They're kind of driven up at a 45-degree angle almost. You can feel them if you run your hand underneath, and you can feel the scallop right there where the screw is. There's 2 of them, and they're that same T20 long screws. Okay, so you're going to need to take those out. In addition, you're going to need to pull the surround around your door pull itself. I find it a little bit easier if I pull my door pull handle out a little bit, and I take a very slim plastic trim tool and fit it down in between the plastic. And the plastic itself will then easily pop out, and you fit it out around the door pull itself. And that will allow you to see the remaining T30 that you've got right here. Okay? So you want to take all of those out. Now, if you've not done this before, it can be a little alarming. The sounds are, there's a big pop because there are these plastic push rivets that go back into the door frame to hold the door card into place. Okay? You want to take your plastic trim tool, fit it in between the door card itself, and just gently work its way up. Now, I've popped several of these already, so I'm not going to be able to give you a good pop on these right at the moment, but I always start at a lower corner, kind of work my way up, work the tool up, work my fingers in, and just gently separate it. I always want to be careful, never use a metal tool because you don't want to score up or damage your door card, okay? So once you get all that off, it's only going to be held by this narrow strip across the top. Now, when you've got your door card here, what you've got is you've got all your cables that plug into it. You've got your Bowden cable, which is what your door pull attaches to, all attached to the back of your door card. So when you pull this off and you pull it off this top ridge, you're going to hold it in one hand and reach down in and start pulling all those cables off. The Bowden cable is this big white clip that slides into the door pull. You pull it up and gently out, and it will come and hang free. You reach down and you pull all the rest of the cables out, including any speaker cables, your light cable down here at the bottom, your window switches, and all the rest. Lift it up and away and gently over your locking post, and you should be good to go. All right, so the door card is completely popped free of all these clips that go straight in at the top. So I'm just kind of holding it in place with one hand. So you want to very gently start to pull it away. And you don't have a lot of room, so you fit it up and over the door pin right here for your lock. Then you're going to reach in. You should see this white cable right here that clips in. This is the Bowden cable. You pull it up and out and away from the clip. You can just let that drop. And then just reach in and start looking for the rest. I've got a little clip here at the top that's the light for the door pull. I've got the window switch down here, so all I've got to do is reach in. Now the window switch, and I'll show it to you in just a second, is one of these little horseshoe ones where you have to depress the lever on top and rock the little collar back for it to come out. So we'll get that, and it's actually on a little pin in the door right there, so it's free, as you can see. Then the last thing down here, I've got a little pin that comes down for the light at the bottom. So you pull it out of the attaching pin here in the frame, come down to the light, and then work that out. Okay, so the door card is off. Make sure to take this and put it someplace safe where it's not going to get damaged. Be very careful. There's all these little clips that I'll show you some more of in a second. You want to make sure that they're in still good shape and they don't get beat up, because that's the secret to your door not rattling. Okay, so now that the door card is off, let's take a look at the vapor barrier itself. And that is this gray foam material here. So mine is completely intact, but if you have a car where your vapor barrier is ripped or torn or otherwise abused, this is going to be a double upgrade for you, because when you pull your vapor barrier, you're going to put the new Soundskin barrier in, which is going to cut sound, but then also will reset up this seal for you, which is a good thing. This should be intact, and you can have problems in your car if it's not. So really what we need to do now is do this very, very carefully. So if you're not familiar with this, the vapor barrier is held on by what's called butyl tape. It's kind of this sticky rubber material, acts kind of like glue, sort of. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is very carefully, you can cut this away. So take a utility knife and do not hit any of your cables, obviously, but slowly just peel down a section with your finger and just slowly work a knife in and slowly start to cut this free. Don't hit your paint, don't scrape into the car, all those sort of things. You're going to want to work your way around. Now, I'm going to hang on to my vapor barriers. I'm just going to put them up somewhere just out of habit. Obviously, if yours is ruined, you don't have to be as gentle as I'm going to be. And I always recommend you be gentle when you do this. So make sure you don't hit any of your wires. Plus, your vapor barrier you're going to use as a template on your Soundskins in just a minute. So the better shape it's in, the better. Okay? So go ahead and take a utility knife, which I'm going to grab here. And I've got just a variable utility knife. And what I do like about these is that I can vary the blade length enough that I can get in here without putting a really long blade in. So I'm going to peel this down with one hand and just very carefully start to cut this butyl tape and cut it down the middle, like right there. You can see that cut in it. Cuts really well. I'm going to cut down the middle and cut my entire vapor barrier off. So just work slowly, get an edge free, and then work your way around the edge all the way around. Okay, so now that I'm about halfway through, I just wanted to kind of show you where we are. You can see that the insulation barrier is about halfway off. There's an extra track of this butyl tape right here. You can actually see it because there's these little texture marks in the insulation itself. But once you get an edge free, just slowly work your way along, very gently pull, and the butyl tape will stretch a little bit right here. And you can just take a very sharp shop knife and then just cut in that stretching part, just very gently. Everything about this is just very gentle, and it just peels away. without really a problem at all. So as long as you're not pulling on it, you won't tear this, and it makes the cut very clean for the butyl tape that's still left on the car. So go ahead and work your rest of your way around and get the rest of the insulation layer off. Okay, so my workbench is a bit of a rack right at the moment, so I'm actually going to use this as my surface. But as you can see, here is the existing vapor barrier. Okay, so we're going to want to use that as a template. So go ahead and take your roll, and I'm going to be using the Soundskins Pro for this. So I've got my roll that came just like this. What I want to do is start to lay this material out on how I'm going to lay it out for the door. So as you can see, I'm going to want to match it exactly. So when I take my template and I lay this out, as you can see, it fits just perfectly with just only a little bit of extra material all the way around. Now the other thing, ironically enough, I find is that the little bit of leftover butyl tape on the back of this actually does a pretty good job of holding it in place. So I want to lay it out so I have exactly the right amount of material. I'm going to take this edge up here and take it to the lead edge of my material so I have as much as possible left on the roll. But lay this out really nicely. I'm going to stick it, actually use the butyl tape to stick it down, which is kind of ironic. Okay? So as you can see, that lays out perfectly as a template. And what you're going to want to do is walk right around the outside and cut out this material to make it easier to work with. You could always cut this section off, and then you take a pair of scissors, really good sharp scissors, and walk around the outside to cut the exact shape that you're going to need. Okay. All right. As you can see, I've got my template. So I just walked it around. I used a good pair of sharp shears to cut around the outside and cut as clean of the edges as I can. I'm probably going to come back and clean up just a couple of the edges just a little bit because I want to make sure I've got good clean edges on every single part of it. But as you can see, it's all done. So now what we're going to want to do is walk this back and start to look of replacing this on the car. So, okay, so a couple of different approaches here of what you can do. So obviously I've got quite a bit of butyl tape left behind. Now, if we were completely replacing all of the existing insulation barrier, BMW, the actual formal BMW recommendations is to clean all of this butyl tape off completely and replace it onto the new barrier if we were replacing that. Now, in this case, I'm actually, and you could do that what you want to do is use like isopropyl alcohol and work your way off and get all of the rest of this off. Now, in my case, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it in place for a couple of different reasons. One, it's going to stick to the sound matting itself for the Soundskins. But in addition, it's going to guide me to where it's going to go. Also, the Soundskin material is adhesive itself across the entire surface. So for example, as you can see this edge here, and only this outer edge is what was secured with the butyl tape with a bead down here in the center. Now this entire piece, I can adhere it down. When I use the roller to roll all this down, it's all gonna roll down, and I can roll it down tight down to the butyl tape as well. So in my case, I'm gonna make the decision. You might wanna take it off. I'm gonna leave it on as a kind of secondary layer of adhesive. So all of that said, what you want to do is you're going to take it up, and we really want to peel just a little bit at a time. So we're going to peel a back corner. I'm going to start with this corner on this corner right here, and I'm going to slowly peel it away from behind and fit it exactly up into place as I go. And I'm going to measure every little piece to make sure that it's in straight, it's adhering right to where the previous one was, which is the advantage of still having that bead there a little bit, right? But I'm going to walk this whole thing along to make sure that it goes exactly in the exact same place. And right now I'm just kind of sticking it down to the butyl tape so I can show you. But it's going to go exactly where the previous one went. I don't want there to be anything missed, anything along the way. Also, make sure you don't pin any cables behind, okay? It goes over the top of all of your existing cables. There's cables here, here, and over here by your speaker, and this will go over the top of them. And I'm going to be reaching up back behind and peeling that backing off as I go and adhering it into place until the whole thing is in place just like that. And as you can tell, it already looks really, really good. It's going to do a fantastic job. All right, one last look before we button up. And like I said, I just used my roller and I hit all the places. You can also look at your previous vapor barrier and kind of see where it bows out, knowing that it hits a strut, you know, or some piece of metal right there, like right here. So I made sure to give it a little bit of extra rolling so I get good adherence down through that whole section. And actually, you can see where that bead of the previous butyl tape was right there, actually, ironically enough. But just make sure, just take your time, make sure that it's sealed all the way down, that's well sealed around the cables, and use your roller, but just walk through it. But all good to go. I mean, this is a lot easier than you think it would be. You'd think this is hard, but it's really not. It's just some patience and some time and a few simple skills and simple tools. So, all right, so let's go ahead and put our door card back on. It's gonna be the reverse of the same process. So I'm just gonna hang my door card and then I'm gonna show you what it looks like to work it back into place. Okay, one real quick thing before we put this on, I want to point out these little nylon posts. These are what are popping when you take it out of the door. So make sure that they're all in good condition. None of them are bent or broken. They mash really easily. And so replace them. The part number for these will be listed in the description. And these are also the ones that have these little rubber gaskets on them too to help make them even more quiet. So all good things. Okay, so just reverse the process. Hold up the door card. And it's a matter of kind of holding it with one hand. Don't forget your locking pin right here. Take your Bowden cable here. It'll curl around. Now, what you're going to want to do is hold the lever flat on the opposite side, so hold it flat. Then your Bowden cable will slide in and down, just like that. And you should have heard it pop, and you can see, you can test your handle right now to make sure that it works. Okay? Then all the rest, so go ahead and just plug all the rest of your cables in. So go ahead and get your window switches here. Take that. Now, don't forget they're on these little nylon posts that go back into the holes on the card itself. So once you have all those done, what you'll do is you'll feed it over the pin, feed it over your locking pin, and then gently push into this top row, and it'll hold itself in place. And then we'll talk about it from there, because we don't want to just start smashing on it and break all those nylon pins. We want to do it carefully. Okay? So once your door card is hung on this top edge, because that's all it is right now, it's just hung on this top edge. So I line it up, I put the door lock pin through, kind of line it up, I line it up against the tweeter, and then just gently pop it onto those clips with my hand. Because what I want to do before I get all of the rest all the way around is I want to make sure they're lined up. So what I will usually do is I will look along these edges and look down through all of the edges. I'll even lay out my back underneath and look up underneath to make sure all those nylon pins are lined up. And then all you have to do is just smack it with your hand. Just gently smack those pins back into place and it'll be all set. Okay, so once that's done, you can put all of your screws back in. You've got your screw here in the pull well, you've got the 2 screws down the handle and the 2 screws across the bottom. All right, so the last couple of things to do is put on your door handle trim and the door pull surround. So this is easy, it just all fits into place, just with pressure clips. So again, you just want to pull the handle out, feed it down the handle, feed it back into place, and it will just snap right into place just like that. So no screws, no anything like that. Now your door pull, you're going to see that this bottom edge right here has a hook that it goes into. So what you're really going to want to do is hook it underneath and then press it into place, because everything else are these either metal press clips or plastic press clips here at the top. So make sure that this hook gets set into the little compartment. You can see there's a little pocket that it goes into right there. And so make sure that that hook gets in there, because if you don't, if you do it from the opposite direction, you try to put it in the other way, then it's going to bow out a little bit because the hook is not set. Okay, so go ahead and get that set back into place and your door is all done. All right, guys, so all done. So go ahead and clean up and put your tools away. Make sure that everything is wrapped up and you've done all the doors in your car. And as you can tell, this really isn't all that hard. It only takes a few simple tools, some time, and some patience. And the difference can be dramatic. Took my car out for a quick spin just to listen, and I already hear a difference in where the overall volume of like road noise and other traffic and my tires actually sounds a little bit less. I can also hear that the sound in the car is different. It's coming from different places. It's more behind me now, actually, here at that stage 2. Now, also, please make sure to check out my full comparison video, because I'm going to show you actually with a sound meter gauge of what it actually has done measurably through the car as we go through stage 2 and especially stage 3. So make sure to check all that out. Thank you so much to Soundskins for making such a fantastic product. It's easy to work with, it works incredibly well, and I'm already very, very impressed. Please make sure to click subscribe and the little alarm bell. It makes a huge difference to my channel. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you on my next video.